everybody. I wanted to do kind of a follow-up podcast to this mommy topics yesterday, but this one's a little bit more sensitive, and so I don't think you need to watch it before well, I would never let a kid see it, but you want it to come from you. But anyways, and it might not be something you need, but I feel strongly that somebody needs to hear it. So what I wanted to go over was, first of all, the only disagreement that Eric and I had was homework. I cannot stand homework from schools because I feel like they get them so many hours out of the day, and I don't like them messing with my time with my kids. So that's my opinion. But she did make a point about practicing, skills is what helps. But I just wish everybody didn't have to be punished like that. But anyways, what I want to talk to you about, I mentioned molesting last night, and this is a very sensitive subject. And this is not a feel bad situation, nothing like that. I just want to make sure you understood what I meant when I said I wasn't sure if I enjoyed it. When I was 8 years old, and this person was probably around 18, 19, I wasn't sure if I was a bad girl, and that's happened to me because and did I like it, or did I get scared? I did freeze. I remember freezing. But it took me, and so this is the more damage of being molested, is not really the assault, really part of it, because I feel like it was not a rape. It was not a rape. It was touching inside clothes. But it was the feeling I had about myself. And it wasn't until Boyd was 8 years old and he was getting baptized at our church. And I watched him going down getting baptized, and I thought, you know what? If my son was ever touched and his body responded in a way that he didn't understand at 8 years old, I would never hold him accountable. And I would never want him to hold himself accountable when an older person was involved. So that took me until he was about 8 years old for me to learn that for myself, is that I had no control of my body being introduced to something that I never experienced, and I didn't know how to respond at 8 years old, except for freezing. And then I ended up telling my mom when I was 13 years old. So, and I'm not one to be honest, I don't put helmets on my kids when they were riding bikes. This is horrible to say, but I'm not one to buckle my seatbelt. This is horrible. I should be, and admitting that it's horrible. I'm not saying that people should do that. No, you should be buckling your seatbelt, of course. But I kind of live on the edge a little bit. But when it came to my children, and I was paranoid of them being molested when I was raising them, I would not let my kids spend the night anywhere unless it was a family member, which is interesting because I was molested by a family member. However, the family member, everybody was separated, and they could never be with a male person. I don't care if they were my dad, anybody. And my dad's innocent. Like, of course, he never did that. But I'm just saying, they only had to be with the women. And women have done it too, but there's a difference. And I'll give you the statistics. So I was very paranoid because all my siblings, except for one, maybe two, and those are boys. All three girls were molested when we were younger, not by the same person, but different people. And one or two of the boys. So I feel like it's a very big issue. Now, if you go into the National Center for Victims of Crime, you learn that for child sexual abuse, 1 in 5 girls is abused. That's 20%. Now, like I told you before, I don't buckle my seatbelt. I kind of live on the edge. I like feeling, like that. But this was more than, this percentage is too high. It's like skydiving. If you're going to go skydiving, but you thought you had a 20% chance of dying or your parachute not opening, I think there might be less skydiving. That's why I was so paranoid about my kids. I'm like, if there's this big chance, all the girls in my family didn't make it out alive. So what that meant to me is that I was not willing to risk that high of a percentage on my kids going somewhere else. Even if we had a babysitter, I always made sure that babysitter is taken home by me. not by my husband. Because, first of all, somebody can be falsely accused. That's a no-no. I don't want somebody to inadvertently, or not inadvertently, but just make a claim against my husband that's not true. But also, I want no resemblance of inappropriate status, and him in a car by himself with somebody else. Not because I didn't trust him, but I don't trust her, and I don't trust everyone else on the in the world. So I'm going to trust her with the kids, but I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say is I just don't want anything to cross their mind, and I don't want anything to happen. So I just want you to keep in mind that if your daughter has a 1 in 5 chance, it's more than being molested. It's the feeling that you get about yourself and how long it takes to overcome that I would like to avoid as much as possible for our young girls. I also read that 1 in 20 boys are molested. So that's a better percentage. But, I always compare it to skydiving. Would you skydive if you had a 0.5%? Is it 0.5? I don't know. A half a percent? I don't know. 5%. It looks 5% chance that your parachute would open. That's a decision only you can make. I do not think we should live, though, in a bubble, and that our kids shouldn't experience, I wish our kids, to be honest, had more broken arms and broken legs. Like, that means they would be climbing trees more and playing outside more than being on their devices. So, because back in my day, somebody was always in a cast, like at school or something. You don't see a lot of that anymore. But anyways, I learned also on this National Center for Victims of Crime that the most vulnerable age is ages 14 to 17, and that 28% of youth are abused between the ages of 14 to 17. So I thought, wow, it doesn't even go away when they're older, but it happens when you're younger too. In fact, it happens a lot. And it usually happens by somebody you know, which is even more disgusting. So I just want you to know that the long-term effects were more problematic for me than the actual experience itself, because of how I felt about myself. Now, we mentioned also yesterday about phones and when kids get phones, and I think junior high is a very good age, but that's just me talking, and also Erica. But there is a concern about pornography. Now, why? Now, pornography, between 2 adults, I think 2 adults can choose what they want as long as they both agree. I personally don't like pornography. It's something I don't feel like I should have to be part of. It's not something I agreed to. So, but I know couples that do, and that's their business. But it is not for children. And it also, I want to make sure they know what's okay and what's acceptable, as a relationship. Not to think that pornography is an example of a real relationship, because we all know that it's not. So, it's a matter of when they're going to see pornography with the way cell phones are and computers. It's not a matter if anymore. Back in my day, we had to go to, well, I didn't, but if we wanted to see something pornography, we had to go to like a XXX store, but we'd always drive by those things and look to see who we thought might be in there. But it's so accessible now. It's at everybody's fingertips. I heard that on the internet, there's 2 competing number 1 sources of what the internet is used for. The top number 1 thing goes back and forth between, I thought it'd be education or something, but no. It's between genealogy, doing your ancestry work, and pornography. And it's like I can see the battle right there of good and evil. Just right there in that, because the internet can be used for something so good, but then it can also be used in destroying I feel like pornography, if it's between 2 consenting adults, that is their business. Because I think what happens in the bedroom, as long as it's 2 consenting adults, I just feel like, for my world, I feel like it gives just an objectification, especially of women. Now, there is a video, and you have to Google LDS video, what should I do when I see pornography? Now, this is geared towards children. It does say at the beginning of this video to not watch it as a group with children. I think it's supposed to be for parents to watch with children. But look at the video and see. And it's only, it's not very long. It's short, but it talks to kids in their voices and in their way. And it talks about what you should do when you see it. Because the expectation is you probably are going to see it. We cannot shield our kids like that anymore, not with the way technology is. So, and I really like how it explains things. It says, just like there's dangers in the ocean, there can be dangers on the internet, you know. And also this goes for sex trafficking also. And when we talk about this very briefly, but America is number one, the consumer of sex trafficking. So I'm like, I want my, you know, pornography, I'm afraid could lead to changing what our children think is acceptable behavior. And I think that's a very serious issue. And listen, if I'm offending somebody, just turn it off, because I don't think that I know everything. I just know what my experience has been. That's all I know. I don't put too much cerebral work into all of this because, one, I don't have the education for it. All I know is what worked and what didn't work when I was raising kids and stuff. But anyways, I really like how they said in this video that immediately it tells them what to do when they see it. Not just don't see it or pray it away. You can't pray this away. So it says immediately identify it. This is pornography. And then it tells them to have the courage to tell a parent. And then I think parents have to be non-emotional. Thank you so much for telling me. How did it feel when you saw that? And it says pornography, and it has little kids talking, your younger kids talking, saying that it creates, when you first see pornography, it creates a curiosity that makes you want to kind of look again, so that your child understands that they're not a bad person because they felt a pull. You know, I had one of my brother-in-laws who is a doctor, and he specializes in men with sexual addictions and pornography. And he was saying that the first time you see pornography has the same effect on your brain as if when you take like 10 or 15 hits of like crack cocaine or something like that. So that what your body feels and what your brain feels is that strong on the first time that you see pornography. So I can only imagine what it would do to our kids, especially if they're when they're growing up and they're at the curious phases of their life. So I suggest watching this video with yourself first, and then if it's something you feel like your child needs to see, so that you can have this open conversation, I think that would be really wise, because the way it's explained, I feel like it's inspired, to be honest. And then one other thing I wanted to mention was weight issues. Somebody asked me, you know, a lot of my kids have had weight issues, and a lot of my family has weight issues. And I remember a Showtime mom telling me that they had to have a talk with their kids to see how they felt about me being so heavy when I was teaching. And they talked about even my arms looking short coming out of my body. And, you know, I never thought of that. Ever since then, I always looked at myself and I'm like, my arms do look a little bit shorter. But they talked to their kids, and they were very respectful towards me. In fact, I consider this person a friend. Actually, it was a Scaras. But, and very dear friend. We went to school together. But, you know, what I had to realize is I did not do well with my kids when it came to weight issues. I kind of was just kind of living my life saying that if you're going to be big, well, like my mom said, if you're going to be an elephant, don't act like one. And I just felt like nothing's wrong with me. But really, it's not healthy. And it is a portrayal of how you really feel on the inside, I think. So I think it's important to remember that I regret, you know, Boyd, Katie, DJ, Donna, you know, nobody's eating in my home and Matthew Jr. too, Michael, all of them, unless I bought it. You know, I could have controlled it. Now, of course, when they're driving and they're off with their friends and things like that, we have less control. But up until then, we have a lot of opportunity to build better eating habits with our kids and what's available to them. You know, if I wanted to keep a secret stash of something somewhere, I don't think that's wise either, but I could have not kept it around my kids. Now, that doesn't mean our kids should never have cake. That's not what, I don't think that happens either, because You know, Mary Burnaby, who's also a mother to my children, her mother was the police for cookies and that kind of thing. My grandma Ruby was kind of like this too, the food police, and that created a secret eater. Mary would become very secretive and very. I was not a secret eater, but I was an eater. I mean, I don't know if there's a difference between secret eating or just eating in front of everybody, but because I don't think there's a difference. You're still eating, inappropriately eating too much. But I don't think we need to create secret eaters and stealers of food. So to me, it's just about making what's really good for them more available, and what's making the cakes and ice creams not as available. Still have it, because I even have this to this day. I like to have a bite, but I'll take a bite and then I'll throw the rest away. You're either going to poop it out or you're going to throw it away. Same difference. You've already spent the money. So I'm not going to try to save all the ice cream in case I want some more later. No, I'm going to have some bites and I'm going to get rid of it because I don't do well. Okay? Other people do very well. I have sisters who have always been in shape for the most part, and they can say no. I've learned that if I'm not good at something, I'm going to hire it done. Like, I don't like to mop my house. So I'll hire somebody. I like to clean my house, but I don't like to mop my house. And I don't like to clean toilets. So I'm going to hire someone to come to my house and do that. Well, that's what I had to do with weight loss. I had to hire someone. I had to go get the gastric because I sucked at weight loss. I did lose weight on my own in 2008. I lost like 130 pounds on my own, but I gained it all back. Like, I'm just saying, my whole life has been about dieting. So I had to get a gastric bypass. I just sucked at it, so I had to pay for a doctor to help me take care of it. And then I still gained weight after the gastric bypass. And so I'm like I told you yesterday, I'm on Mounjaro. Things that I'm not good at, I hire done. And so I don't think there's any shame in that. Yes, I wish I could have lost weight. Yes, it'd be a bigger story. It'd be a bigger story to say, I did this on my own. Look how wonderful I am. No, I needed help because I suck at losing weight. My discipline in that area, that's my addiction, is food. I like me some cookies, you know? So same thing with kids, is if we just make it less available, and this is if your kid has weight issues. A lot of kids don't have weight issues. But if you have making available what is good for them is very easy to obtain. And what is not so good is only for special occasions. If they struggle with weight, so that we can help them. Because, I have made it harder for my kids as adults. In fact, after I had my gastric bypass, which I was like 53 when I had it, and I wish I had only done it earlier. After I got done, I'm like, why didn't I do this 20 years ago? But it took me a year and a half to talk Katie into getting her surgery. Because I told her the only regret I have is not doing it sooner. And it took me a year and a half. And listen, she's so glad she did. She feels good about herself. Her energy's way up. And she's going to have a lot more healthier years with her children. My kids had to deal with a lot of sick times with me. If I wasn't on tour or doing showtime or working, and I would become exhausted at home, and I would eat and try to, build up my reserves to get back to what I needed to get done. And that's no fun. So I just thought, paying attention to weight issues, but not making it a focus, because I do believe what my mom said. If you're going to be an elephant, don't act like one. But what's better is to not be an elephant. Okay? My mother was not saying, be an elephant, just don't act like one. She wasn't saying that. She goes, if you're going to be one. But I didn't pay attention to that if. Because she's right. If you're going to do it anyways, then don't act like it. And I didn't. I always remember my mom telling me, walk faster. And the mom, make sure you're walking, keep your speed up. You look energetic. She told me that's why I taught. I think I taught pretty energetically. I never wanted to be looking super lazy. Now, really, in my latter years of teaching, I did sit down a lot, and my kids had to learn from that situation, Showtime cast members. But I just know that I didn't. And I feel like people, once you got to know me, I think people could see past weight. And I'm not sure if that's exactly true, but I heard that a couple of times. I don't need any pats on the back for that, because you shouldn't be an elephant. It's not healthy for you. And it's not good for your confidence either. But if you're going to be heavy, definitely embrace it because it's going to build your reserve to have the guts to eventually do something about it. Like I said, I lost 130 pounds on my own in 2008. I got down to 230, which to somebody else would be so much weight. But to me, it was less. So I just wanted you to know that we don't need to make it the most important thing, but we also need to set our kids up for success. And I wish I would have done more of that when it came to weight issues for my children. And I'm very proud of them for being busy. No one dances as good as Boyd. I'm telling you, that boy can dance. You know, it amazes people. When we performed at the Orlando Magic game and he did that sex scene, you know, it won. You know, I have a lot of good dancers in Showtime. There's a lot of it girls and it boys and people that are so phenomenal. But Boyd was the one being asked the most for autographs and things after that performance at halftime because they were so enthralled with him because he was not the skinniest. He was heavier, but he could sure move. And he entertained those masses. I mean, they loved him. I couldn't believe my eyes. People were just, oh, can you say, you're so good, you're so good. And there were so many other good kids. And they were telling them too, but Boyd got the most attention on that particular day. But I wish I would have, you know, also not made things so easily available for him. And I wish I would have made treats more special. Treats were always on demand at my house. And I could see where that didn't serve us well with our history, our genetic background. And I'm not saying weight problems come from all genetics, but I do know that genetics plays a part because I have a heavy side, especially on my mom's side of the family. And, you know, we have to combat that a little bit. But listen, I did eat a lot of Twinkies. Listen, you know, I didn't gain all that weight from my genetic, I think, is the predisposition to want to use food as my go-to drug. But it's not healthy. And we all know that the diabetes, high blood pressure, all of that comes from being overweight. And so it's very nerve-wracking. But anyways, thanks for listening. I just wanted to touch on those other little topics kind of privately because if this is private, but you know, like adult to adult, because of how they affected me in my life and the mistakes I made. But I also I think I was a little too paranoid with my kids about being molested, but I know that none of them got molested. I mean, we've had talks about this. And that's one of my little feathers in my cap is that my children, I didn't let that happen. That doesn't mean my mom let it happen. She did not let that happen. But we know more now. So I'm very proud that I did that. But I also feel like I was a little overboard. You know, not spending the night ever at anybody's house. I wish I would have just weighed the risk more. Like, what's the percentage? How well do I really know these parents? So how well do I really know the situation? Because the people who molested me were relatives, extended relatives, and obviously my mother trusted them. So you got to balance that, and only a parent will have to do that. That's a call you're gonna have to make. But anyways, I hope y'all have a great day. I'm loving this podcasting. I just can't believe how good y'all have been to me. It's been so much fun. And I'm reconnecting with so many people. Even Ryan McKnight in Thailand. You know, he's been over there for years and he's messaging me now and telling me that he watched it. I love reconnecting with everybody so much. So y'all have a great day and we'll see you soon. Message me on topic ideas for the next podcast. See y'all later. Bye.